Morning po. Ay, good afternoon. Sorry. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Hi. Hello.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi. Good afternoon. Good
Good
afternoon,
afternoon po.
everyone.
Good afternoon po.
Perfect. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good thing. Good thing. Okay, you can hear me. Okay. Yes. Hi. Happy Monday. I know it's a Monday once again. So anyway, good afternoon, everyone. I'll be your coach for today. So this is a basic English language 101. I'm Coach Larry. You can just call me Larry. Okay. Um, I also handle the last basic English language 101. And currently, I'm also a trainer on a BPO company. So, of course, I will not disclose the name. And here, I'm also acting as a coach for you guys. Okay, specifically for the basic English language 101. Yes, I'm looking forward to speaking with you guys as well. So anyway, this is going to be a 1 week session, if I'm right, unless there would be changes in the schedule. But so far, that's what we have plotted, like from Monday to Friday, 4 to 6. Again, unless a schedule might change. But anyway, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening, however you would like to refer to it as. So I'll be your coach for today, and we'll be spending these 2 hours specifically going through English grammar first, and then we'll have as well in regards with the written English language. And of course, we'll have some time as well for you guys to be able to go through a specific script, okay, that you guys can check on your own, that you guys can read on your own as well. That will be related and hopefully will be helpful for you guys as well, for you to be able to get your own gift, your own client. Okay, but for now, Good morning. Okay, we'll have some introduction first. Not from everyone, of course, because that might take the whole 2 hours since we only have 2 hours. So I'll just be having some of you guys do a specific introduction. Okay, and we have an assignment for you guys as well at the end of this particular training that I'll be showing to you guys as well for now. Okay, so this is going to be an English language proficiency training. So again, it will consist of English grammar, both in the verbal or speaking English and also on the written English grammar. Okay, usage of different pronouns, usage of different adjectives, usage of prepositions as well. So we'll also have that pronunciation. We'll also go through that. So there will be a lot for this 2 hour session. Okay, so first I would like you guys to have introduction. Okay, but again, not from everyone. I'll just be calling some of you guys. So this is what I would like you guys to do for the introduction. We have a specific script that you can follow. Okay, so hi, my name is. Of course, what's your name? You can call me. How would you prefer to be called? I'm currently taking Bloody Mary's free English language proficiency training. Prior to working from home, I worked as if you were on a specific job before, or I studied if you are currently a working student, for example. And I am familiar with what are the applications or what are the skills that you are familiar with. Are you familiar with Microsoft Office, for example? Are you familiar with graphics design or other tasks, other skills that you have as well that you can actually brag about? And during my spare time, I love to what do you love to do during your spare time? Okay, so for example, for me, so hi, my name is L'Ariel Saquito. You can call me Larry. I'm currently taking Bloody Mary's free English language proficiency training. Prior to working from home, I worked as a trainer in a BPO company, and I am familiar with, for example, Microsoft Office, dialers and cell phones, some CRMs, calendar management, so on and so forth. And during my spare time, I love reading books. I love watching series as well, some left out series that I have not watched, and listening to music. There. Very simple, right? So I would want to hear from you guys as well, of course, since it's you guys who should be doing this. Yeah, that's noted. Thank you for notifying. Okay, let me hear some of your voices. I would want to hear your voices as well. Anyone who would want to volunteer first, just in case that someone would want to volunteer. But if there's none, that's fine. I'll just volunteer someone to do this introduction. You just need to follow the introduction script that we actually have here. You don't need to do anything else, to be honest. Just simply read this and go through what are the tasks that you have. Introduce yourself as well. Okay, no one would volunteer. It's fine. That's fine then. Let me call someone instead. Oh, sorry. I see a raised hand. Yes, Giselle.
Hi, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Can I start now, ma'am?
Of course. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Giselle. I'm sorry. Hi, my name is Giselle Akupan. You can call me Jap. I am currently taking Bloody Mary's free English language proficiency training. Prior to working from home, I work as a planning assistant. Studied at President Mon Magsaysay State University. I am familiar with Microsoft Office and video editing. During my spare time, I love to watch Netflix series and scrolling on TikTok and Facebook. That is all.
Wow. Thank you. Wow. You love scrolling TikTok's very time consuming. I love to do that as well. And I keep on noticing it's very time consuming. I don't notice the time that it's already like 30 minutes that I kept on scrolling. But anyway, thank you very much for that, Sal. Good job. Very good. Though some of the points for the pronunciation, local accent. Some of them are very Filipino words, but no worries about that. We'll go through that specific pronunciation as well once we go through the basic English proficiency training and some of the fillers that you've had commonly there were a lot of so that's kind of normal for everyone to really have fillers like me here. Okay, but of course it will be better if you can take out those fillers, right? So try to speak more in English. You would get more comfortable, get more familiar with it, and naturally those fillers would just normally go away, especially the long because it shows that you're thinking, right? What to say next, what should I go through next, right? So that's really a common natural filler for everyone, especially for Filipinos. But anyway, thank you very much for that. Good job. Okay, next, let me ask since no one is volunteering, let me just volunteer someone. Let me see. Precious and
Hello, good afternoon, Coach.
hi, good afternoon.
Hi, Esco. Hi, my name is Precious Ann Cunanan. You can call me Ann. I am currently taking Vladimiri's free English language proficiency training prior to working from home. I had worked as a sales representative. I studied at Philippines Women's University. I am familiar with Google Apps and calendar management. During my spare time, I love watching YouTube or TikTok, and I do research because I love to learn new things. Thank you.
Wow. What was the recent research that you've done about?
About the virtual lead generation.
That's something that's really kind of booming these days. Thank you very much for that, Anne. Good job. Thank you. Though
Thank you.
some opportunities that we can take note of are the pacing in regards to the pacing. Most of the time it's really good, though there were some moments that the punctuation marks got ignored, specifically the period, for example, after the free English language proficiency training, there was no pause, though there was a period here, right? So there should have been a pause. You went straight to prior to working. So the breath, you were kind of, you sounded like in a hurry during that time. So let's not ignore the punctuation marks. The punctuation marks are there for you to rest as well, right? For you to take a breather, for you to take a breathe for a moment before you go through the next sentence or the next phrase. Okay, so that it will be a natural pacing as well. But apart from that, everything else is good, very good. Next, let me ask from. Let me see. Maritoni, Marion. I'm just really calling the names that are catching my eyes.
Hi, can you hear me? I have a problem with my audio right now.
Oh, I can definitely hear you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Maritoni Marine. You can call me Tony. I am currently taking Bloody Mary's free English language proficiency training. Prior to working from home, I worked as a customer service representative as a chat and email support. Um, I am familiar with Microsoft Office, some CRMs and dialers and cell phones. During my spare time, I love to watch movies, singing, and listening to music. Thank you.
Welcome. Very good. Thank you as well. Yes, I love the tone and the pacing. Good job. Okay. So yes, next person that I can ask. I would not ask everyone, just a few more people. Let me see. Let me hear the lovely voice of Sheila May. Sheila May.
Hello. Yes, can you hear?
Hi.
Hi, ma'am. I'm having quite a problem with my audio because I don't I don't have an earphone. Can you hear me fine?
I can definitely hear you fine. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Hi, my name is Sheila May Milan. You can call me Sheila. I am currently taking Bloody Mary's free English language proficiency training. Prior to working from home, I worked as a customer service representative and a project manager. I am familiar with Google Workspace, Microsoft Office, some CRMs, task management, and some administrative tasks. During my spare time, I love reading and I'm into games.
You're into games? Is it like phone, mobile games, or is it like computer
Yes,
games?
mobile games, PC games.
Oh, all of the above. Okay, all sorts of games then. Okay, I see. Thank you very much for that, Shimami. Good job. Very good. Thank you. And I've noticed that really most of the people who take this course are like previous CSRs or customer service representatives who now prefers this type of job. So anyway, thank you. Good job. Last but not the least, let me ask as well. Let me see. Erica Faye.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Afternoon. Hi, my name is Erica Faye Dokog, and you can call me Faye. I am currently taking Blagis Mary's free English language proficiency training. Prior to working from home, I work as a project development officer, specifically CityLink, yeah, DSWD. I am familiar with Google Workspace, Microsoft Office, calendar management, some administrative tasks. During my spare time, I love scrolling Facebook, watching TikTok.
Oh, that's it? Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you
thank
very
you.
much for that, Erica. Okay, so good job as well, though some opportunities or takeaways probably is in regards with pronunciation and also in regards with the pausing, in regards with the tone as well. So as to indicate that you're done, because it felt like there was still something else to say with how the tone was left off. But anyway, we'll go through that as we go through this English proficiency training that you guys will be having. Okay, but anyway, good job for those who were able to have their introduction. But all of you guys are here will have your time to shine as well to actually do your introduction because this is one of the assignments that you guys will be leaving or that you will be having once you leave this particular session. Everyone will be doing this particular introduction as well. So you will do a self-recording, okay, of this particular introduction that I showed to you guys. The hi, my name is, you can call me, blah, blah. I am currently taking Bloody Marys, blah, blah. I worked as I'm familiar with, and during my spare time, I love to do this stuff. Okay, so you guys will record yourselves and will actually post it or at least share it to Ms. Mary. So go to TikTok or it could be other apps as well, not necessarily TikTok. That's also fine. And then record yourself reading the script. Okay, and you would need to send the link to this particular site. I'll share it to everyone. Okay, so you would need to send it to this particular site. So you can use a different account. And this is for us to be able to see and document your progress as well. Okay, so this one. So you can take a screenshot of this particular script so that you would know what to follow. Okay, so after this particular training, so kindly do this as well. So if you can do it within the day, since it's just going to be a short script, so that you'd be able to send it before we go or before we have tomorrow's session as well. Okay, so there. I'll give time or at least 3 minutes just in case someone would want to screenshot it. Okay, and I did send on the chat box the particular link. Okay, where you would need to send the video or self-introduction video that you guys will be recording. Okay, there. But later on, I'll show it again before I actually let you guys go at the end of this particular session, just in case for those who were unable to at least take note of this particular assignment. Okay, but anyway, since we're done with the introduction, we'll proceed with our training for today, which is, of course, our language proficiency training. So, since we do know that English language is, yes, it is one of the basic languages that we have here in the Philippines, but on a daily basis, we don't really speak it that much, right? And there are instances that, of course, we have adopted it into our own language, and there were some type of variation of the English language that only Filipinos would be able to understand, or at least grammatically incorrect once we have it, or once we speak it to other English speaking nationalities. So we have here what we call Philippinism, or how the Filipinos actually speak the English language, our own version of some of the English phrases that are technically grammatically incorrect. So here are some of the common Filipino phrases and what would be the correct or appropriate English phrase instead of the common Filipino phrases that we have mentioned. So first, we have here open or close the light, open or close the TV, open the computer. So technically, grammatically, that's incorrect. Okay, because if you say open the computer, it would literally mean opening it. So instead of that, you should say turn on or off. So turn on the lights, turn on the TV, turn on the computer, or turn off the lights, turn off the TV, turn off the computer, or whatever it is that's electrically that we are going to open up. Okay, so it should not be open or close. It should be turned on or off. Next, we have here no parking on both sides. Okay, so it should be parking is prohibited on both sides. Next, we also have I slept late. Okay, it should be I stayed up late. Okay, not slept. So it should be I stayed up late. Next is I'm not coming to the party. So it should be I'm not joining, I'm not attending the party instead of I'm not coming to the party. So it's just the usage of some particular words. Also, this is very common since we have also adopted it to the Filipino language, the time first, right? I'm sure you've used it as well when you were kids, or you are hearing it from some of the kids playing around in the neighborhood. So they always say the term time first, right? Whenever they are playing something, or at least in a normal conversation as well. So instead of time first, since technically, what does it mean by time first, right? It should be time freeze on the English language. And here it will be traffic. So this is really grammatically incorrect. And this is something that we always use. Like when someone is asking, where are you? Why are you not here yet? It's traffic, right? Grammatically, that would be incorrect. If you would mean to say that you are stuck in heavy traffic, because technically, as long traffic actually means that there are vehicles that are actually moving. So that's already traffic. As long as there's a vehicle that's moving, that's already traffic. So if you would mean to say that you're stuck in heavy traffic, so you should say it as light traffic, heavy traffic. That's why if you actually hear it from the news, if they're saying the news, they are saying it as light traffic, they are saying it as heavy traffic to indicate what is the actual lightness or heaviness of a particular traffic. So here, so traffic gets heavy during rush hours, or we expect heavy traffic at noon. So if it's not too traffic, so it should be light traffic, okay? Because again, as long as the vehicles are moving, that's already traffic, okay? So it is not to indicate, it is not to indicate that the vehicles are not moving. Okay, so it should be light traffic or heavy traffic. This is one of the most common that Filipinos are always saying. Okay, that it will be traffic, or there's traffic. There's always traffic. wherever you go. It's already traffic as long as there are vehicles moving. So just simply say it as there's heavy traffic or there is going to be a light traffic. Okay, other things that are common as well is here. This is the long cut, not the shortcut. Okay, so it's not going to be long cut or shortcut. It should be long method or long process or short method. Okay, or short process. Though shortcut is okay as well, but there's no such term as long cut. Okay, though at times this is just being said as a form of a joke, right? But some does adapt it as well as a real English term. So there's no term such as long cut. So it should be either long method or long process. Okay, next in terms of verb usage, we'll go through verbs as well later on. So it's taken care of. So that's a double whammy in terms of verbs. So it should be it's taken care of or it's been fixed. This one as well, I'll repeat again. So this is going to be redundant since repeat is already a form of you doing something again. So saying I'll repeat again will be redundant in a sense. So it's just I'll repeat. No need to add the term again. This is something that we hear a lot of times. And then I'll repeat or I'll say it again. I'll restate that for you. Okay, or I'll do it again. Okay, so it should not be I'll repeat again. Next, mulling. So this is a common Filipino term now, right? So you hear it a lot of times, mulling. So there's no such term as mulling. It should be shopping. Next is get a free gift. So why is this wrong? Because technically gift itself is already free. So just like the I'll repeat again, it will have the sense of redundancy. Okay, so it should not be get a free gift, it should be get a gift. Okay, so take out the free because technically gift is already free. Okay, so we have it here as well. So next week or next week, right? That's how we commonly answer questions like when will the event be? Oh, it's next week or it's next week to indicate like it's 4 weeks after or 3 weeks after, right? So instead of saying next week, so just simply say the week after next. Okay, because technically there's no such term as next week or next week. Okay. Also these terms, this is very common to get us or to hear from other people. So fats, homeworks, stuffs, foods as well. So why is this incorrect? Because these particular words, whether they're singular or plural, we don't add letter S on it. Because commonly, right, when we have the singular versus plural of a particular word or a particular object, we add either S or ES to indicate that it's plural, right? Now, there will be some exemptions to that, of course. So some of the exemptions for that are these words. So for these words, whether they're singular or whether they are plural, so you don't need to add letter S on it. So you just simply refer to it as fad, homework, stuff, and food. You cannot say foods. There's a lot of foods. That's grammatically incorrect. Okay, so there's a lot of food. That's just simply it. Or for stuff as well, also homework and then fat. So you will just simply understand it as either singular or plural depending on the sentence that will actually go through with it. Okay, so again, please never ever add letter S to these particular words or furniture as well. There's no such thing as furnitures. Okay, so fat, homework, stuff, food. I have a lot of stuff to do. Okay, it's not I have a lot of stuff to do. Okay, so the letter S should be omitted or ES should be omitted for these particular words because they are going to be used both in a singular and plural sense. And we also have here, I'll go ahead. Okay, so it should just be I'll go. Okay, because it's going to be redundant in a sense as well, just like I'll repeat again and also get a free gift. Okay, so there are terms that are going to be redundant in the usage. Okay, that's why we cannot have some of the words together in a particular sentence because technically it would not really make sense anymore. Okay, so these are just some of the common terms, the common words that Filipinos are actually using most of the time. Me, I am actually guilty with some of them. Okay, like for example, the I'll repeat again. I'm really fond of saying that before. Okay, and the next week, especially if I'm just talking to someone I'm close to, like I always say it next week. Like it's a form of a fun way of saying it for me, but of course, grammatically, that's totally incorrect, right? I'm sure you have been guilty with some of these particular phrases as well. So it's just something that's good to take note of. Okay, especially if you would want to really improve on the English language, right? For us to be grammatically correct as well. So these are just some of the common Filipino phrases, okay, that are going to, that we Filipinos are commonly using that actually would be incorrect in a sense, okay? So can you take note of that for some of the common Filipino phrases that we do have? Okay, now, apart from Philippinisms, of course, we'll be going through grammars. Okay, grammar as well. We'll be going through both verbal and written grammar. So we'll start first with verbal. We'll go through the written grammar later on, or the written English later on as well, for you guys to be able to have at least some takeaways, some notes about it for you to better improve your written English as well, specifically with prepositions, with punctuation marks as well. Okay, so for now, we'll go through grammar itself with the English grammar. So first off, we have here for nouns. Okay, so of course, for nouns, so that's going to be for a name of a person, place, thing, idea, state, or quality. So we have a lot of different nouns that you guys can actually go through. Okay, wait up. Just give me 1 minute here. My slide is not going to properly. Okay, there. Okay. So here, we have different classifications for nouns, or a different way to identify or to separate each noun. So some of the type of nouns that we are already familiar with. So we have common noun, we have proper nouns, mass noun, collective nouns, compound nouns as well. We have gender nouns as well for feminine, masculine, and neutral type of nouns. Specifically, we'll have later on as well related to pronouns. Okay, specifically for us to be able to identify that. Okay, but for now, we'll have these different classification. Okay, so for common noun, proper noun, so this is in regards with how we address a specific object or specific place, right? For common noun, this is just the general way of how we actually refer to something. For example, a place, a country, so those are type of common nouns. While for proper nouns, so it's the specific place itself. For example, South America, North America, or a name, right? For example, what name can I think of? Mark. That's a proper noun, right? And then for mass noun, collective noun. So in regards with numbers, so I'm sure we're very much familiar with that already. Okay, but anyway, there. So we have here as well, apart from the common nouns, proper nouns, we have the gender nouns or the pronouns, right? So this is very important, especially these days, for us to be able to use the correct and the right pronouns. So these are the key pointers for us to be able to identify, okay, how to use the right pronouns, or what are the different pronouns that we actually have that is available for us to actually use. So there's a lot of different pronouns. Okay, first off, for us to be able to identify what will be the correct pronoun to use, it's going to be dependent on, of course, the gender of the person and the number as well. Are we referring to a single person or are we referring to a group of people? Okay, because there will be different pronouns for us to actually use if it's just going to be a single person that we're referring to or if it's going to be a group of people. Okay, it's not just going to be one set of pronoun for everything, right? So I'm sure we're already aware of that. And of course, the gender of the person as well. Is it going to be a he or she? Okay, or a different set of pronouns. So here, and of course, apart from the gender and number, it's also going to be who are we referring to? Are we referring to the first person? Are we referring to the second person? Or are we referring to a third person? Okay, so it depends on the point of view as well for us to be able to decide on what will be the correct pronoun to use. So first is if we are referring to the first person. First person meaning you are the speaker or you are the writer, you're referring to yourself. Okay, that's the first person POV or point of view, right? So if it's going to be the first person, these are the different pronouns that will be available for us to use. So we have I, me, my, mine, our, ours, us, and we. So it depends if you're referring to a single person, are you referring to a group of people, that's including you, of course. Okay. So if it's going to be singular, so you have I, me, my, mine, that we can actually use. But if it's going to be plural, so we have the set of pronouns for us to use as well. So our, ours, us, and we. If you're referring to a group of people, that includes you, of course. Right? So, like for example, our schedule for the English proficiency training is going to be 4 to 6. So it means everyone who would want to join the English proficiency training, including me, right? That's why I used R because I am included on that particular training. Or for example, I am facilitating an English language proficiency training because I am referring to myself. Okay, and we have other usage as well for the other pronouns here. Like for example, if it's in terms of possession. Okay, if we are referring to a possessive pronoun, but we'll have that later on as well. Like for example, mine. Okay, this tumbler is mine. Okay, it means it belongs to me. Okay, or this time is ours for us to enjoy. Okay, so it really depends on the usage that we have. Is it in terms of possession? Are you referring to something or someone? But for possessive pronouns and the other usage of pronouns as well, we'll have a separate discussion for that as well. But for now, these are just the list, okay, of the different first person pronouns that you can actually use if you are the speaker or you are referring to yourself or you are referring to a group of people that includes you. Okay, so I, me, my, mine, our, ours, us, and we. Okay, so there, that's what we have for first person. Now, apart from first person, of course, we have different point of views as well. So we have the second person, rather, second person point of view, and also the third person. So for the second person, so here for second person, we are always referring to the person that we are talking to. Okay, we're referring to the person that we're talking to. So it could be a reader, it could be any intended audience that we do have. Okay, so it could be a single person as well. It could also be a group of people that you are actually speaking to. Okay, so a speaker or writer should use second person pronouns when we are speaking directly to the reader or the intended audience. So these are some of the pronouns, okay, that we can use if we are referring to the second person. So you, your, and yours. Okay, so you, your, and yours can also be used if it's going to be for plural sense, right? I'm sure you know that for you, it's either singular or plural. So depending on the usage that we have, and some of them will be used as well for a possessive form of pronoun. So depending on the sentence that we will actually have. Okay, but these are just some of the pronouns that we have for second person. So you have you, your, and also yours. Okay, yours if it's in terms of possessive pronoun. Okay, and then lastly, we also have the third person POV or the third person point of view. So for the third person, it is when you are referring to others that you are actually not speaking to or someone not within the particular group, okay, that you are actually referring to. Okay, so third person refers to others who are not the speaker or not the one being spoken to. Okay, so these are some of the pronouns that we have if we are referring to a third person. So you have he, him, his. Okay, if it's going to be for the masculine, she, her, hers. If it's going to be for someone who's feminine, and we have it, its. Okay, if it could be referring to an object as well. So they, them, their, and theirs for the plural sense. Okay, if it's going to be a group of people that you are actually referring to that's not within, okay, the people that you are actually speaking to. So you have a lot here, right? For third person, you have a lot of options for us to choose from in regards with the pronoun, but we cannot just simply use whatever we want. That, oh, I want to use she for today. I want to use he for today. So it really depends, right? That's why we mentioned earlier. It depends on the gender, the number as well of who we are actually referring to for us to be able to choose the particular pronoun that we will be using. So we have he, him, his, she, her, hers, it, its as well, they, them, their, and theirs. Okay, depending on the usage, depending on the person that we are referring to or the group of people that we are actually referring to. If it's going to be plural, so you have these four, they, them, their, theirs. If it's singular, so you have these options instead. Okay, you have he, him, his, she, her, hers, it, its. Okay, so it depends on the number that you are actually pertaining to. Okay, so there. So these are just some of the pronouns that we do have as well. Okay, depending if it's the first person, second person, or it's going to be the third person. Okay, so be mindful of that because it's quite common, to be honest. It's actually quite common that pronoun usage is actually incorrect or is not getting used appropriately or properly. Okay, sometimes there are some people who interchanges he, she, for example, for the first sentence, they're using she, and then the next sentence referring to the same person, they're going to use he. Okay, so be consistent with the pronoun that you're using as well, so as to indicate that it's the same person that you are referring to, or it's going to be the same group of people that you are talking about. Okay, so that it will be easier to understand as well and will be understandable for the person who's hearing whatever you are actually saying. It's actually very important. Okay, so there. So we have here for the usage of the correct pronoun. So there. So apart from nouns, pronouns, we also have verbs, of course. This is quite common, right? This is one of the most common errors that are we are hearing rather from other people is in regards with the usage of the verb. So we'll have more discussion about verbs later on, but for now, just the simple things about verbs. So for verbs, so these are words that express an action, occurrence, or state of being, of course. So we actually have different types of verbs. So first type of verbs that we have transitive verbs, we have intransitive verbs. So for transitive verbs, so this is a verb that requires an object to complete their meaning. So meaning if you don't have the object that you're referring to, it would not mean anything. For example, I bought a car. So if you just said I bought, what did you buy? Okay, it would not have that complete sense of I actually bought this particular object, right? So it should be I bought a car. Or if we just simply said the man stole, what did he steal? right? It would not have that complete sense that there's something missing from your sentence. Okay, so it's very important for us to be able to have a complete sentence, complete receiver of the action as well. And for intransitive verbs, so it can these are the type of verbs that does not necessarily need to have any object, okay, after the verb. For example, he arrived. Okay, so it's already understandable. The baby smiled. Okay, so that's something that's already complete in a particular sense. But we'll have more discussion about verbs later on, specifically with the tenses as well. Okay, specifically with tenses like present, past, okay, and past participle, since those are just some of the common errors that are happening that we do have. Okay, so there. Other type of verbs that we do have, we also have what we call helping verbs. So for helping verbs, these are verbs that would help the main verb in a sentence by actually extending its meaning. So they actually also add details to how time is going to be conveyed in a sentence. So we have different types of helping verbs. So we have auxiliary verbs, we have modal verbs as well. So for auxiliary verbs, these are just some of the verbs that we do have. So we have am, is, are, was, were, be, been, have, has, had, do, does, did. And then for modal verbs, we have can or could, may, might, will or would, shall or should, must or ought to, depending on the tense or the time that you're referring to, if it's the future tense, if it's on the past tense, past participle tense. Also with auxiliary verbs, it depends on the time that you're referring to. Are you talking on a present form of tense? Are you talking about something that has already happened or on the past tense? Are you talking about something that will happen or that is about to happen, meaning something on the future tense? Okay, so these are the verbs that we can actually use for that. And surprisingly, these are some of the verbs that are commonly forgotten when someone is speaking in English. It's actually quite common, surprisingly, it's actually quite common to hear some sentences that would not have these verbs. It's lacking am, it's lacking the is, are, was, where, and these are just some of the common errors that are happening as well. Simply these as well, the am, is, are, was, where, these are very commonly used incorrectly at times. So for am, of course, it follows if it's going to be for the first person, right? If you're talking about yourself, for example, the pronoun I, so that's when am will follow, right? So it's I am, it's not I is, or it's not I are, right? So it's going to be I am. Okay, but if it's going to be for the present tense, for the other pronouns that we do have, so you have is or are, is if it's going to be for a singular, in a singular sense, or you're referring to a single person. Okay, and then are if you are referring to a group of people, right? But if it's going to be for the pronoun you, or if it's going to be for the pronoun you, what are we going to use for the pronoun you? Is it going to be is, or is it going to be are?
Are.
Are. Are. Are for the others as well. Yes, right. So we are going, that's correct. We are going to use are if it's going to be for the pronoun you. You don't say you is. Okay, though technically you're just referring to a single person. Okay, for you, it's always going to be are, right? You are, you were, if it's going to be in the present tense, in the past tense rather, sorry, right? So let's be mindful of that as well. But if it's the other pronouns, if it's singular, it's is. If it's plural, it's going to be are. And if it's going to be the past form of tense, you're talking about something that has already happened. So was, if it's for the single person, if it's a single person, and where, if it's going to be the pronoun form, right? So was is the past tense of is, while where it's going to be the past tense of are. Right, so let's be mindful of these things as well, because that would really help in actually improving the sentence and would help us relay the message that we would want to get across clear and easier to understand as well. Okay, and then we'll have the other form of verbs here on a different topic as well, specifically the do, does, did, especially um, the did verb, because this is very common. Okay, this commonly gets common. This is something that's very common to get incorrect by other people. Okay, so we'll have that later on. Okay, and of course, relating to verbs, we also have adverbs. Okay, so for adverbs, these are words that are neither nouns or pronouns. They are helping words as well that can help us describe a specific verb, an adjective, or another adverb as well. So there are some adverbs that will help indicate time, indicate place, manner, frequency, or degree. Okay, so some examples that we do have here. So if it indicates the time option, so if it answers the question when, so we have some of these adverbs that we can use. So tomorrow, later, yesterday, soon. Okay, so they are actually words that describe other words as well. We also have here where, if it is referring to a place. So to answer the question where, some of the adverbs that we have here, there, everywhere. Okay, and if it's going to be answering the question how, so we have here gradually, gently, loudly. If it's going to be answering the question how many times, or if it's referring to frequency, so we have here some of the adverbs: sometimes, often, and if it answers the question to what extent, or referring to a degree, so nearly, almost, very, quite. Okay, so these are just some of the adverbs that we can actually use with that. I have here the adjective, there's not. Now, apart from adverbs, other modifiers that we do have is adjectives. So for the modifiers, we have adjectives. We also have adverbs, right? So for adverbs, these are some of the words that we do have. So they can either describe a verb, adjective, or another adverb. While if it's going to be for adjectives, so adjectives describes nouns or pronouns, right? So we have a lot of different adjectives. For example, colors, they can be adjectives. Age, size, origin, right? Dimension, they can be a form of adjectives as well. Now, if we are referring to adjectives, if there's going to be a lot of adjectives in a particular sentence, there's actually an order for that. We have a specific order for adjectives. Wait up. It was not part of the slide. Just give me 1 minute. Let me okay, so here. Sorry. Let me just have this in a bigger manner for you guys to see as well. Okay, so for adjectives, this is also a form of modifier that helps describe nouns or pronouns. Unlike for adverbs, it describes verbs, it describes adjectives, it describes adverbs as well. Now, for adjectives, we have a specific order that we actually follow for that, meaning how are we going to construct grammatically the different adjectives in a particular sentence. So the order that we do have for that, we have an acronym for it. And then DASCOM, DASCOM. Okay, so what does OQ DASCOM actually means? So O stands for opinion or quality. So adjectives, if there's a lot of adjectives in a particular sentence, it would always start with the opinion or quality. And then you're going to follow it up with letter D, which means dimension. And then follow it up with letter A, which is age. And then follow it up with letter S, which is going to be the size. And then letter C, which is going to be the color. And letter O, which is going to be origin, okay, for the adjective. And lastly, letter M for material, okay, because sometimes what happens is that, for example, you say, there's a big green car, right? So would it follow the specific order that we have, or would you just say there's a green big car? Grammatically, that would be incorrect. Okay, since we would need to follow this particular order for the adjective. So opinion or quality first, followed by dimension, followed by age, followed by size, followed by color, followed by origin, followed by material, depending on, of course, what are the adjectives that will be within a particular sentence. For opinion or quality, for example, you can say amazing. Right? If you say something is amazing, that could be just from your point of view. It could be not amazing for some other people, right? For dimension, it could be round. Okay. For age, it could be something old, ancient, new. Then for size, for example, it could be thin, thick, right? Small, big. And then for color, so red, green, blue. Then for origin, for example, it's from Spanish descent. Okay, and then for material, is it wood? Is it going to be antique? So it depends. Okay, so but of course, it's not required to have all of these adjectives in one particular sentence, right? So it depends on what adjectives you would have on your particular sentence to describe a specific noun or pronoun. So for example, let's have something that would describe a car. For example, these are the adjectives that we would have on that particular sentence. Let's see what order you would have for this. First adjective that we have big. We also have, what am I doing? We also have French, for example. What else? Let's also have beautiful. And then let's have old. Let's also have antique. Let's also have green. Okay, for example, these are the adjectives that we're going to use to describe the car. Okay, so you have big, you have French, beautiful, old, antique, green. How are you going to have this in order? That will be the correct order. That would follow this particular order for adjectives. Can you have this on your own? Can you create? Can you have this in a particular order? That would follow the opinion or quality, dimension, age, size, color, origin, material, or the ODASCOM order that we have for adjectives. I'll give you a few minutes for you to have this in a particular order. Will you start it with antique? Will you start it with French? Will you start it with beautiful? Okay, I'll take note. This should be the order that we would have. It should be opinion or quality, followed by dimension if there is, followed by age if there is, followed by size if there is, followed by color, followed by origin, followed by material. You can just simply send it on the chat box if you have your own order for this, following this. Now I'll give you guys few seconds, few minutes. Beautiful big green French antique car. Beautiful old big antique green French. Big old green French antique. Beautiful French old big green antique car. Beautiful antique big old green French car. Beautiful big old green French antique car. Beautiful big old green French antique. Beautiful old big green French car. Beautiful big old green antique French car. Beautiful old big antique green French car. Let's see. Okay, first off, the first order that we do have would be opinion, right? For opinion, what is an opinion that we have here out of these words? What's an opinion? Opinion or quality, rather. That's right. It's going to be beautiful, right? Not everyone sees beautiful the same way, right? Could be beautiful for you, could be beautiful for others, could be not beautiful for you, could be not beautiful for others, right? So this is an opinion or quality. Next, we're going to follow it up with dimension. Do we have a dimension here? What is a dimension? It means shape, right? For example, is it round? Is it square? That's right, there's none. We actually don't have any dimension here. Very good. So we can just simply skip that. Since we don't have dimension, let's follow it up with age. Do we have an age option here? We've already taken out beautiful. Do we have an age?
Yes, it's old.
That's right. Okay, so we have here old for the age. So beautiful, old. So let's take out old already. That's right, that's correct. After age, do we have a size? So size, is it thin? Is it thick? Is it small? Is it big? Is it large? Big, that's correct. Okay, very good. So we have here big, right? Big for the size. Very good. So beautiful, old, big. Next, we have color. So color, that's correct. No questions about that. I assume no one will get the color wrong. So we have here green, right, for the color. So after color, we have origin. For origin, that's correct. It's French, okay, meaning it originated from France, rather. So beautiful, old, big, green, French, and material is going to be antique. Since that's the only thing that we have left, and that's the only um, order that we have here. So antique. So it's a beautiful, old, big, green, French antique car. There. Okay. So that's the order that we're going to follow for adjectives. There's an order for that. We cannot just simply say, oh, this is a big, green, old, beautiful French antique car. Okay, that will be quite confusing and grammatically incorrect as well. So this is the order to follow if it's going to be for adjectives. So you have opinion or quality first, followed by dimension if there is, followed by age if there is, followed by size, followed by color, followed by origin, and followed by material. Okay, so that's going to be the order that we are going to follow. Okay, good job. Very good. Can we not consider antique as a quality? We cannot. Okay, we cannot. We cannot. It's not a quality if it's antique, right? So quality is actually referring to how it was actually made. So unfortunately, no, we cannot consider antique as quality, since for quality, it's referring to a standard of some sense, standard of something, okay, or how we measure something. There, so that's why antique is rather referred to under the material. There. Okay, very good. Okay, so for modifiers there, so we have two. You have adjectives, you also have adverbs. Okay, there. Sorry, let me go back to the slide. Okay, so there. So adjectives and adverbs for our modifiers. Okay, so apart from that, we also have articles. Okay, so for articles, these are words that we use to modify a noun, person, place, object, or idea, and it introduces a noun as well. So the articles that we do have, so the, and. Okay, so the or the, when talking about specific things in singular or plural objects. So the article, so we're using this when introducing a singular noun that starts with a consonant sound. Take note, sound. Okay, if it starts with a consonant sound. And the an article, if we are introducing a singular noun that starts with a vowel sound. Okay. So for the article the, there's not there. So for the article the, this would refer directly to a specific noun or a group of nouns. So for example, the freckles on my face. So either singular or plural, rather, singular or plural. Okay. The alligator in the pond, the ducks in the pond, the breakfast on my plate. Okay, so if we are referring to a specific noun or group of nouns, either singular or plural, we are going to, we can use the article the. Okay, so each noun or group of nouns that are being referred to, so we can use the for that as long as it's going to be direct and it's going to be specific. Okay, for example, the notebooks on the table. So it's specific that we are referring to the notebooks, right? The people in the mall, we're referring to the specific people inside the mall. Okay, if it's going to be specific, if it's going to be direct, so we can use the article the, either singular or plural usage. While for the article a and an. So these are indefinite articles. So they are not interchangeable. Okay, they're not going to be interchangeable that, oh, I want to use an for now. I want to use a for now. Okay, so they have their own specific usage. So for the article a, again, if the noun that would follow after it would start with a consonant sound, take note sound, and the article and if it would be followed with a vowel sound. And this is going to be for singular nouns. Okay, and if the noun that we are referring to is not a specific person, not a specific place, object, or idea. So it can be any noun from a group of nouns. Okay, so for example, an event in history. So we don't know what specific event are we referring to, right? It's just an event in history. So we're going to use an because it would be followed with the word event that starts with a vowel sound, which is a, right? So an event in history. While, for example, for the article a Mercedes from the car lot, right? So there might be a lot of Mercedes on the car park itself. So we are not sure what will be the direct or what will be the specific car that we are actually pertaining to. Okay, so in both phrases that I've mentioned, so the noun there is not really specific. Okay, so the Mercedes could be any Mercedes car, and the event could be any event in the history of the world. That's why we're going to use the articles a or the article an. And again, they're not interchangeable. Okay, you cannot just specifically use an or a just because you want to. So it depends on what will be the word that would follow after it. If it starts with a consonant sound, we're going to use the article a. If it starts with a vowel sound, we're going to use the article an. Okay. So that's what we have for these articles. If it's going to be a direct, specific, okay, noun that would follow after the word the, or we're pertaining to a direct or specific noun. Articles a or an, if it's indefinite, okay, it's not going to be a direct or specific noun or group of nouns. Okay. So apart from articles, we also have preposition. Okay, so for prepositions, so they would be describing relationships such as space, time, cause, or manner between its object and the other words in a sentence. So in itself, a word like in or after is rather meaningless and hard to define in mere words. So we have different prepositions depending on what we are referring to. Are we referring to a place? Are we referring to a movement? Are we referring to time? Are we referring to date? Are we referring to other prepositions? Okay, and we also have functional preposition. Now, for these different prepositions that we do have, okay, so for prepositions of place, if we're referring to at, on, or in, okay, so they have different usage as well. So they're also not interchangeable. You cannot just use them just because you want to use them. Or I want to use on now. I want to use in now. I want to use at now. So they have their own usage as well. So if it's going to be the preposition at, okay, we use preposition at if it's going to be for specific addresses. Okay, if it's going to be a specific address. So for example, the specific address that we're referring to is 123 Bayani Road, Makati City. Okay, so for example, I live at 123 Bayani Road in Makati. Okay, so that's a specific address. Okay, so if it's going to be a specific address, we're going to use at. Now, apart from specific addresses, we are going to use the preposition at as well if it's going to be a point of place or a point of location. What do we mean by point of place or point of location? For example, at the corner, at the bus stop, at the bottom of the page, at the center of the word. So it's a specific point, okay, or a specific place. So at the bottom part, at the corner, at the bus stop, at the center. So they are points of place or location. So we're going to use the article at for that. Okay, while for the articles on and in, so they have their own usage as well. For article on, this one, so on, we are going to use on if we are designating names of streets, avenues, okay? Unlike with at, it's for a specific address, right? So for article on, it is to designate names of streets, avenues, etc. For example, we say Bayani Road. Okay, so if we're just specifically referring to Bayani Road or for example, Bayani Street, Bayani Avenue, why do I keep on saying Bayani? Okay, that would be referring, we are going to use article on for that. Apart from specific names of streets, avenues, surfaces as well, if we're referring to surfaces, so we're going to use article on and directions. Okay, it's on the left, it's on the right. Okay, so we are going to use article on for that as well. So for example, the mall is on the left, the building is on the right. Okay, so we're going to use article on for that. It's on the table, it's on the wall. Okay. For streets, avenues as well, it's on Makati Avenue. Okay, it's on Pasay Street. Okay, so we have different usage for that. At specific addresses, point of places or location, while for on, so names of streets, names of avenues, surfaces, directions as well. Now, what about if it's going to be for the article in? So for article in, we're going to use that for names of land areas pertaining to, for example, towns, cities, counties, states, countries, continents. Okay, if it's a specific land area, and also spaces, bodies of waters, lines. Okay, so for example, it's in the Philippines. That's a specific country that we're pertaining to, right? So we're going to use in for that. States as well. Okay, cities, for example, she's in Makati. Okay, it's a specific city. She's in Pasay, or it's in Pasay. Okay, it's because it's a specific land area. Moa is in Pasay. Okay, or it's in Quezon City. Okay, so if we're pertaining to a specific land area, it's in Laguna, it's in Cavite for provinces as well. Okay, because it's going to be a large land area. Okay, it's in the room. Okay, so those are the different usage of at, on, and in as well. Okay, so again, if it's for at, it's for specific addresses, point of place, or location as well. While if it's going to be for the word on or preposition on rather, so it's going to be used for names of streets, names of avenues, surfaces, directions as well. If it's going to be for the preposition in, so it's for land areas. For example, countries, cities, regions, states, province, okay, and spaces as well, bodies of waters, lines. So those will be the different usage of at, on, and in. Okay, and I'm sure this is one of the common errors that we are getting as well. Okay, specifically for preposition. Okay, the at, on, and in usage. Okay, now apart from at, on, and in, we do have different prepositions that we can use as well for movements. We have to or towards as well. For time or date, we have preposition in and on as well. And the other prepositions that we do have, depending on the usage, we have for, since, while, during, over, within. We also have with as a form of preposition as a functional preposition. Okay, so these are just some of the prepositions that we do have. Okay, later on, we'll be discussing more, or at least we'll be mentioning again some of these other prepositions that we have already mentioned. Okay, but so far, yes, these are just some of the available preposition for usage. Now, apart from that, other form of grammar that we are going through is in regards with comparative and superlatives as well. If you can hear it, I'm so sorry for that. That's our dog. But anyway, so we have comparatives and superlatives as well for adjectives, since we have mentioned adjectives earlier. So these are special forms of adjectives that are being used to compare two or more nouns. It depends on how we are actually comparing it. Okay. So comparatives, if we are just comparing two nouns, for example, between two persons, two things, two objects. Okay, well, if it's going to be for superlative, we are comparing more than two nouns. Okay, if it's a group of objects, for example, that you are comparing, if it's a group of people that you're comparing, okay. So for comparatives, for two, for example, so John is fatter than Josh. Okay, so this is where the ER, EST would come in, or the more versus most, right? So ER, if we are just comparing two nouns, two objects, two persons, while if it's going to be the EST form, so that's going to be the superlative form, meaning we are comparing more than two nouns. Okay, we're comparing a group of people, for example, comparing a group of objects. Okay, she's the most beautiful in the room. So most beautiful because there's a lot of people in the room. Okay, and for us, she's the most beautiful. So it's going to be the superlative. Okay, well, if it's comparative, it's just between two people or two objects. So ER or more, right? More will follow the same rule as ER, meaning it's just for two nouns. While the most part, okay, the most word that we are mentioning will also follow the EST rule, meaning it's the superlative form. We are comparing more than two nouns. Okay. So it depends if it's going to be ER or EST, or if we are going to apply the more or most for that, right? So it depends on the word. Like, for example, for beautiful, we don't say beautifuler, we don't say beautifulest, right? We say more beautiful, we say most beautiful, right? For fast, we say faster, fastest. We don't say more fast, most fast, right? What else? For big, we say bigger, biggest. Okay, we don't say more big, most big. So for some words as well, it's not the ER or EST form, or not the more or most. For example, for bad, right? What's the comparative for bad? If we say that the word bad. So this is like if we are comparing two objects and one of them is more bad, what do we say? Is it badder, baddest, more bad, most bad, or do we have other words for it? What's the comparative form if it's going to be for bad? Worse, that's right. Very good. We say worse, right? And yes, the superlative form is worst, right? So it's bad, worse, worst. What about if it's going to be for good?
Better, best.
Very good. That's right, right? So we have good, better, best. So we don't say gooder, we don't say goodest, we don't say more good or most good. So it depends on the word itself. If we're going to use the ER, EST, or if we're going to add more, most, or if it's going to be a different form of the word. Like for bad, it's worst, first. Okay, the superlative form is first, the one with letter T, right? While for good, the comparative form is better, and the superlative form will be best. Okay, good job. Very good. Okay. Okay. So those are just some of the comparatives and superlatives that we do have as well. Okay, so than is commonly used for comparatives. Okay, and then we commonly add that on the superlative form. Okay, but there. Okay, so again, depending on the word, some ER, EST, some more, most. Okay, and of course, since we're already mentioning about comparative superlatives for adjectives, we've also mentioned about adverbs, we've also mentioned about verbs. So we also have here our subject-verb agreement. So for subject-verb agreement, or the SVA, right, this is to know the relationship between the subject and its verb, right? Specifically, the singular usage, plural usage. So if the subject is singular, the verb is also singular. If the subject is plural, the verb should also be plural, right? And this is something that might be commonly used incorrectly, right? So we have different rules for singular plural usage. If it's for the nouns, we have different singular plural usage or rule if it's going to be for verbs, right? For verbs, the singular form that we do have has a letter S on it after, while the plural form does not have letter S on it. Unlike for nouns, right? If it's singular, we don't have the letter S or ES, while if it's going to be plural, that's the time that we're going to add the letter S or ES as well. Okay, so for a present tense specifically, we cannot have two S ending at the same time. Okay, we cannot have both S on the subject and also on the verb. Okay, so here, so if the subject is singular, the verb should also be singular. And if the subject is plural, the verb should also be plural. Okay, like for example here, system is going to be our subject, so it's just a singular form. So the verb should also be singular. And the singular form of the verb print is going to be print. So we add letter S on it, right? If it's going to be the singular form of the verb. So the system prints, okay, and the customer is, if it's just a singular customer, so singular person, we don't use are. Okay, so if it's customers with an S on it, this is the time that we're going to use the plural form of the verb, which is going to be are, right? So the system prints the checks, the customer is waiting for you, while for plural subject, it should also be plural verbs as well. So we, right, this is the first person pronoun and is the plural form of it. So review, we don't say reviews if we're meaning to use the plural verb of the verb review. Okay, again, for verbs, if it's plural, it does not have a letter S on it. But if it's singular, there is a letter S on it. So we review a lot of documents. Likewise, tickets with an S. So meaning this is plural subject, right? So tickets are updated hourly. Okay, okay. Okay, there. So it depends on the subject itself. If it's singular, so the verb should also be singular as well. Well, if it's going to be plural subject, plural verb as well. Okay, for example, the subject that we have is racers. Okay, for example, the subject that we have is racers. I sent it there. And then the verb that we would have is going to be, not you. For example, the verb that we would be having is drive. Okay, for the subject racers, what should be the verb that we're going to use? Is it going to be drives or is it going to be drive? So the racers drives or the racers drive? Very good. The racers drive, right? Because drive is the plural form of the verb and drives will be the singular form of the verb. So if we just say the racer drives, if it's just the racer, meaning one racer, one person, right? That's the time that we are going to use the singular form of the verb, which is drives. Okay, very good. Okay, so it depends on the subject. Okay, your verb will always rely on your subject as well. If they're singular, so the verb should also be singular. If it's plural, the verb should also be plural. Okay, so here we have the different verb tenses as well. So just the basic ones first. So for verb tenses, so we have past, present, and future tense, of course. So for example, the present verb or the verb that we have is eat. So the past tense for that is ate, and the future for that will be will eat, right? What for example, the verb that we have is, what verb do we have? For example, the verb that we have is going to be run. Here, run. What is the past tense for run? That's right, ran. Very good. It's the RAN, right? It will be the RAN. And of course, the future tense will be will run. Okay, for future tense, it's quite easy, right? You just simply add the word will for us to indicate that it's going to be the future tense of the verb. For example, drive. What is the past tense of the word drive? Drove. That's correct. And then the future tense for that, of course, will be will drive, right? You just simply need to add will. What about if, for example, it's going to be read? That's right. It's the same spelling, right? But the pronunciation for that will be read, right? So read, read. But it's going to be the same spelling as well. What about if it's going to be the verb hurt? For the verb hurt, what's the past tense for that? Good job. Very good. That's right. It's also going to be hurt, right? So hurt, hurt. So we don't add ed on it, right? To indicate that it's the past tense. So it's also going to be the same word. Good, good. And of course, for the future tense of the verb, so again, we just add will to it, right? Will hurt. Okay, will read, will drive, will run. Okay, good job. Okay, that's right, that's right. What about for drink, for example? Drink. We have varieties of answers. Okay, for drink, it's drunk. It's going to be drunk, drank rather. Sorry, the one with the letter A on it. Okay, so it's drink, drank. Okay, for the past tense. What about the drunk, the one with the letter U? The drunk will be the past participle. Okay, but if it's just simply the past tense, it's drank. The one with a letter A on it. So it's drink, drank, drunk. Okay, good job. Right, that's one of the common words or common verbs that are very confusing with the past tense and the past participle because of the letter A or the letter U difference. So the letter A is the past tense, while the letter U will be past participle. And again, for future tense, it's just simply will drink. Right, right. So there. Yeah, there's a lot of verbs still, right? That we do have. Some of the verbs will just simply add D or ED on it, right? For example, rehearse. For example, rehearse, right? We just simply add letter D at the end to indicate past tense, so rehearsed, right? We don't have any other forms for it, or we don't change something on it. Most of the verbs that we do have, we just simply add D or ED to indicate that it's going to be the past tense. But some of them, just like some of the verbs that we have mentioned earlier, so we would need to change something, or it's a totally different word, or it's just going to be the same word. Okay, so depending on the verb itself. Okay, like for write, it's wrote, right? We don't say righted. So it's wrote. Okay, so there, good, good. Good job. We know our past tense and past participles as well. Okay, now for the verb tenses as well, later on we'll have the different verb tenses as well. Okay, in terms for the usage that we have for the sentence itself. When are we going to use the past tense? When are we going to use the present tense? When are we going to use the future tense as well? Can we combine different tenses in a specific sentence, or are they not allowed? Are we not allowed to do that? So later on, we'll go through that. Okay, but for now, okay, it's almost 40. Okay. Okay, for now, I'll be stopping here for now with verb tenses. We still have a lot to go through for the next 3 days. Okay, but for now, I'll be stopping here. But before I let you guys go, wait up, sorry, here. Okay, so again, just a reminder here, sorry. Again, just a reminder. So we have here this particular introduction. I'll send it here again. So we have this particular introduction script, okay, that you guys would need to do. So kindly record yourselves. Just simply go on following this particular script. So hi, my name is, what's your name? You can call me. What's the nickname that you prefer to be called? I am currently taking Bloody Mary's free English language proficiency training. And prior to working from home, I worked as, what was your previous work if there's any, or if you don't have any previous work, or I studied, where did you study, or what was the course that you took before, or what was the studies that you've had before? Okay, I am familiar with, what are you commonly familiar with? What are the applications, for example, that you're familiar with? What are the skills that you have? Okay, are you good with administrative tasks? Are you good with graphic designs? Are you good with task management? Okay, or if there are other skills or other tasks, other applications that you are good at. So we have here others as well. So make sure to include that as well to brag yourself about that, whatever skills, whatever tasks, whatever applications you are good at. And lastly, during my spare time, I love to do this, I love to do that. Okay, what do you love to do during your spare time? Okay, so make sure to include that as well. Okay, and please send it to this particular link that I did send here on the chat box. Please don't forget to do that. If you can, please do it within the day. Okay, since we'll have another session tomorrow. Okay, and again, you can use other applications as well. Not specifically for TikTok, just in case that maybe you don't have an account for that, right? So that's fine. That's totally fine. As long as you will be able to send it on this particular link. Okay, so please make sure to follow the script, or if you want to add something else, something more after the during my spare time, if you want to add something more, that will be definitely better, right? More chances for you to speak and practice English as well. So that's totally very good. Okay, so take a screenshot for this so that you'll be able to follow this particular script that we do have, or if you can memorize it, go ahead. Okay, be my guest. If you can memorize it, that's very good. That's very nice. But if not, so you can take a screenshot as well. Okay, so that you'll have the link as well on where to actually send it. Okay, so there. And that's where I'll be ending with you guys for today. So as to give the rest of the time, just in case that there will be another session that you guys will be having later on, because from the other classes, they've had other sessions after this. So to give you time to rest, or at least to enjoy yourselves more. So that's where I'll be ending with you guys for today. And thank you for attending the session for today. I hope you guys had some takeaways for now. And yes, I'll be seeing you guys again, or at least I'll be meeting with you guys again for tomorrow. Okay, same time, 4 to 6 as well. So thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you
Thank you,
very
Coach.
much. You're welcome. Thank you. I hope you guys have a good day today, the rest of the day, rather.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.